Hello, and thanks for joining us here on Encore. Coming up on today's show.
Lady Bird, is that your given name?
Yeah.
Why is it in quotes?
I gave it to myself.
Oscar nominee Saoirse Ronan talks to France 24 about the flyaway success of new film Lady Bird and reveals her meticulous approach to on-screen kissing. And we check out a synthesis between man and machine with a digitally augmented dance show currently on tour across France. We're starting with cinema and one of the most hotly anticipated films of this year, Lady Bird. Greta Gerwig has been nominated for Best Director at the Oscars for this, her debut behind the camera. Her leading ladies up for Best Actress too. Saoirse Ronan plays the younger party in this mother-daughter comic drama. She told France 24's Eve Jackson why Hollywood is taking notice of female-led projects these days. Here's the interview.
I want to go where culture is, like
How
New
in the
York,
world did I raise such a
or at least
snob?
Connecticut or New Hampshire, where writers live in the
Get
woods.
into those schools anyway.
Mom,
You should just go to City College. You know, with your work ethic, just go to City College and then to jail, and then back to City College, and then maybe you'd learn to pull yourself up and not expect everybody to do everything.
Saoirse, congratulations on the film and on your Oscar nomination.
thank you.
In the film, Lady Bird is a character who is strong. She's a teenager who goes for what she wants. Last year, Wonder Woman was one of the biggest grossing films in the cinema. Now Star Wars has a female Jedi. Do you think something's changing in Hollywood for the way we see women on screen?
Yeah, I do think it is. I think it's, it's still an uphill battle, and I think it's going to take time. I think the thing that we're all striving towards is just sort of honestly representing the society that we're in, But I do think it's getting there, and I look at something like Wonder Woman and Star Wars, and even Lady Bird as well, even though it's on a smaller scale commercially. It's unfortunate that, you have to think in this way, but the fact that all those films have, made a lot of money and have done really well, critically and commercially, means that hopefully studio executives and producers and the money people, which I think they have done, they'll take notice and they'll kind of go, oh, that worked, and we didn't think it would, and nobody had ever really given it a chance, and it does. So I think that'll encourage producers and stuff to make more films like that, which is great.
Lady Bird, is that your given name?
Yeah.
Why is it in quotes?
I gave it to myself. It's given to me by me.
Lady Bird always says that she lives on the wrong side of the tracks, but I always thought that was like a metaphor. But there are actual train tracks.
And it's Greta Gerwig's first film.
Yeah.
She's been nominated for an Oscar. She's only the 5th woman to be nominated in the history of the Oscars for Best Director. What was it like working with her?
It was great. I love her. She's very smart. She's a great filmmaker. It's mental that she's the 5th woman ever to be nominated, but, I think that's starting to change because of the great work she's done. So.
And you were first nominated for an Oscar 10 years ago when you were only 13. This is your 3rd nomination. Mm-hmm. Your teenage years seem to be a world away from the teenager we see in Lady Bird. Were they?
I think they were and they weren't. With all of this stuff, it sort of comes in spurts. So I definitely didn't do as much press back then as I do now, or even as I think a lot of the younger people do now. So I think you were able to sort of do a bit of publicity for your film and go to the Oscars or whatever it was, and then you could leave that and you could separate yourself from that and go back to the world that you're from. So I was very lucky that I had that sort of clear divide for many years, It's really important to hold on to that sense of reality, and that's something that my mum and dad always gave me when I was young.
And there seems to be a sort of revolution in Hollywood at the moment, especially for women, with the Me Too campaign, Time's Up. How have you found navigating the Hollywood industry, the movie industry, because you started so young?
I think I've always been quite lucky that the roles that I've sought out and the ones that have come my way have been interesting and well-rounded and kind of complex. But I also know how unusual that is because they're hard to come by.
Did you ever come across this casting couch culture that we're all sort of hearing about outside of Hollywood?
I didn't know. I was so protected by my mum and dad. Thankfully, I never experienced that. And also, because I lived in the countryside in Ireland, mainly I would audition through sending audition tapes, and I wouldn't actually go over until it was a callback. And I was in the room. I mean, most of the casting agents that I've ever worked with are women who I love and I'm close to, and they're all mothers and very caring. And so I was very lucky that, like, for those first few films that sort of got me out there, I was surrounded by people that were very sort of nurturing and very protective over younger people, thank God.
Why can't I just make the eggs?
Because you take too long, you make a big mess, and I have to clean the whole thing up.
Eggs aren't good for the environment anyways. What?
You heard her.
Eat quickly, please.
Look at all these pictures. Every newspaper looks like USA Today.
Shelly and I are trying to be vegan, hence the soy milk.
You wear leather jackets.
But they're vintage, so they don't support the industry.
They aren't done. There's white stuff.
You know how much you love brambles?
And the mother-daughter relationship in Lady Bird is very realistic.
Yeah.
What did your own mum think of the film?
She loved it. She had come out to LA when I was shooting it for about 2 weeks. She actually met Laurie the day that we were doing the very first shot where we sit on the bed. I think she loved the film so much, but I think more than anything else, she was just really struck by how honest a portrayal of a mother Laurie had given. You know, it was so real, and there was nothing, you know, Hollywoodized about it at all.
When is a normal time to have sex?
You're having sex?
I'm ready. Just wanted it to be special.
Why? You're gonna have so much unspecial sex in your life.
Lady Bird has 2 romances in the film. Can you tell us about your first kiss?
My first kiss was on screen for a film, for the very first film that I did when I was 11. And the director said, yeah, okay, so you're going to kiss now. And I was like, okay, yeah. So how long do you want this kiss to go on for? And she was like, I don't know, like a few seconds or whatever. And I was like, no, let's be specific. How many seconds? So I kissed a boy for 3 seconds exactly, from one take to the next.
You worked with Peter Jackson in Lovely Bones, Joe Wright in Atonement, Wes Anderson. Out of all those directors and all those roles, is the one that's stayed with you and influenced you as an actress?
Susie from Lovely Bones definitely stayed with me for a while. Brian, he did. A lot of the earlier roles because it's so special. It's, you know, one of your first times doing it, and everything about it is so perfect, like in a kid's eyes. And I think, like, I just did Mary Queen of Scots, and she's someone who will always be with me. She'll always stay with me because I just was so honoured to actually get to play her, to tell a Scottish story. I just loved who she was. So yeah, there's definitely certain ones that'll stay with you.
You were in Ed Sheeran's Galway Girl music video last year. Is that an average night out for you?
Oh yeah, just me and Ed running around Galway, having 500 young girls chasing us. It's great crack. He shot the whole thing, and he did literally have like 500 people follow him around Galway because he's like truly beloved in Ireland. I think the red hair definitely helps.
Moving to dance now with a show that brings together the art of choreography, digital imagery and some minimalist music. The Movement of Air is an example of dance in the digital age, a collaborative experiment that's thrown up a whole new experience for the audience. Charles Pellegrin takes a look.
Hypnotized by the movement. Contemporary dance in a digital setting produces a truly entrancing experience. 3 projectors are set up above the stage and create an illusion. Images appear on the ground and on 2 vertical tool screens, becoming a partner for the analog dancers on stage. And here is the man who is pulling the virtual strings of this creation with his graphics tablet.
All the strings in the net will converge to where the pen is. On stage, the dancer will come towards the net, and I'll push the net away from him before moving it towards him again. I'm trying to give him directions.
In a later number, smoke appears to rise from the ground. This time, the dancers are behind the transparent screen, and their movement brings air to life.
It's all virtual, you can't touch it, it's not tangible. Yet we can have an organic, a physical sensation with this image, nevertheless.
The closest the show comes to visual poetry is this whirling dervish, spinning inside a tornado of pixels. Digital imagery is broadening the reaches of the human imagination.
We're staying with dance and zooming in on a hip-hop collective who's taken their inspiration from a different corner of the digital realm, specifically social networks. Pokemon Crew has a new show called #2.0, I tag, therefore I am, Sartre's credo for the Snapchat generation. It explores our growing relationship with screens, tweets and likes, all through the medium of movement. And that's on at the Théâtre Bobino. Here's a preview. Remember to check out our website. You can also keep up with Encore on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.